So this is Mountain Meadows at 22,000 feet, and here it is. What we're going to do is look at the role of George A. Smith and Brigham Young in this, the role of the others down south, the location of the Mountain Meadows camp, because there's some issues here, some CV weight, and to show how Mormons intentionally alter documents, and some comments on the role of Freemasonry in all of this. So these are the hills that are associated with the event. This is Dan Sill Hill here. California Road would have come through here. This wasn't as eroded in 1857. It was much shallower, more like it would have been up here now. So this is the narrowest part of the meadows. And the original cairn monument was down in here. It's the one Brigham Young had destroyed when he made his little Freemason symbol. Here's the monument. We're about 10,000 feet. See, here's a creek here and a creek here. So when you get hearing these descriptions by me, you have this little creek here, and there's another one that I show on the map. I believe it's in here somewhere. It's called a spring, is what I should be saying. These are your hills. This is Dan Sill. Here's a small hill. Okay, again, here's our Mountain Meadows Massacre site, Dan Sill Hill. These are hills further on the west, so if they were camped in here, here's your westerly hills here. I've made another video showing this in more detail. This is all owned by LDS. They farmed this. All this above here is where the massacre occurred. That's all, this is all farmed. It's not right. LDS owns and maintains control of this. So the description would seem to indicate something up in here, but your springs are here, even if you take this as a spring. He says they were 100 yards above and north of the spring, whichever it was, that he crossed to the other side of the hill, west of their corral, and for 2 hours looked down. Your hills are here. It's pretty flat up in here. And that the valley is 500 yards wide, which is up in here. That they camped near the center of it, but on the east and the west were hills for the better protection of the assailants. Here's the problem. This is north and south. This isn't north and south. 500 yards is up in here, not down in here. This is a mile from here to here. So from this area in here, it's more than 500 yards. So we're going to use John D. Lee's Mormonism Unveiled. I think this is an 1882 edition. I've had just about every year. This one looks the best, so I've kept it. Kind of looks like my logo, but that's from a book by Buell, Mysteries and Miseries of America's Metropolitan Cities. 8th description is the will of all in authority that the immigrants be put away. Again, this is a people that's preparing to fight the United States Army, and they're scared of Archies. I don't buy it. Here George asks Lee what he thinks would happen to people that had caused them so much trouble in the past. This is in the context of the Reformation, which is a whole subject in itself. It's just not reasonable to assume that George A. Smith would be the one doing this on his own initiative. This is in the Tribune report. Here's Brigham Young. I'm going to photograph it because it's a few pages. Here's Lee's reference to sending the message up north to see if the immigrants should be spared, which is really just a CYA. Let me show you something, another book here. See, Lieben Morrell made a big fuss about this, and that is why the messenger was sent. It was just part of the cover your ass scenario. See, now you've got testimony saying, oh yes, we tried to do something. We were going to anyhow. Laban was there. Yes, he was upset. So yeah, not only the quote, it's the will of all in authority, but George Smith saying here at the bottom, I have been sent down here by the old boss, Brigham Young. Top of 222, to prepare for a big fight. God is on our side. Our greatest danger lies in the people of California. This simply isn't true. They know the army is marching in. They've talked, Brigham Young has spoken with Van Fleet and told him to get lost. And so C.V. Waite is the wife of Judge Waite. Here's a description in Waite of a bill's date being altered. This goes directly to the martial law issue. And it's rather blatant what was done. There's a lot of chutzpah to do this sort of stuff. Just do it with bland air. Followed by this. And we have this famous tidbit on page 57. So if you can read this kind of stuff and believe that the Mormons were afraid of arkies and wagons with women and children, then maybe you can believe in the polygamy revelation or the Kinderhook plates or the Abraham papyrus. Here's our declaration of martial law. See? Not September 11th. That was 230, 231. Now we're at the bottom of 232. The orders of the president, supposedly Dame, that all the immigrants must be put out of the way. The idea is they don't have a pass. Well, you know, how the hell is anyone supposed to know they need a pass to go through Utah? Here we see the words coy and exterminate were used in the letter. Haight claims to Lee that Dame was the man giving the orders. Here, if you do your crimes well, you get a celestial reward, which of course any good Mormon would take very seriously. And we're not to question our commands. Here's Lee at the camp and a description of its physical terrain there. When Lee walks in, he's making Freemason signs of peace and security. I may not be able to show that to you here, but it's true. When you add that in with Brigham Young showing up later and making a Freemason sign of a right angle with his arm and then destroying the cairn that had been put up as a memorial. Or Joseph Smith's death, everyone in and out of the jail was a Freemason. Everyone there was involved was a Freemason. The wagon train was ostensibly Freemasons from Arkansas. I had communications with someone related to these, and they said that later all of the related folks were, quote, drummed out of the order. Here's Lee's description of the beginning of these murders. Here's the famous quote of, "Oh Lord, my God, receive their spirits." So a little baby gets shot through the head and the father through the heart. That raises the issue of the so-called note to all Freemasons, Methodists, Oddfellows, etc. I don't believe the note was ever written. It has as much authority and truthfulness to it as the Book of Mormon. It's the presence of an absence, a complete lack of evidence to confirm anything. Here, Kit Carson Fancher is saved. He's renamed Charlie. Hosea Gibbs meets Charlie. About a year later, they're playing marbles up in Salt Lake City, and Charlie says, "The Indians killed my father, and when they washed their faces, they were white." Here they have to search the bodies for valuables. Well, the bodies are stripped of their clothing and put in the tithing house and sold generally for grain, which the grain is then put in the tithing house. So these bodies weren't just stripped, they were searched.